said unto them, fear not, for I am in the place of God. Now understand the language. When he says I'm in the place of God, he was not elevating himself on the level with God. He was saying it's my turn now to execute God-like judgment. Because sometimes, even when folk have to humble themselves before you, that's not your season to get the big head and say, I told you so, and try to make, they already feel bad. They already in a level of humility. It ain't your job to put your foot on their neck. It's your job to execute God-like judgment. Joseph executed God-like judgment. This is what he said. I'm in the place of God. In other words, I'm not going to treat you like you treated me. I'm not going to use this as an opportunity just because I got you where I want you. I'm not going to use this as an opportunity to pay you back for all you did to me. That's the reason sometimes God can't elevate you, because if you ever get 30 cents above your bus fare, then you're going to try to high side on folk that ain't got as much as you got. I'm already preaching. But look at verse number 20. Look at verse number 20. But as for you, you thought evil against me, but God meant it unto good, to bring to pass as it is this day, to save much people alive. Look at somebody before you're seated. Just look at them eyeball to eyeball and say, neighbor, it's already worked out. That's what I want to talk about. It's already worked out. It's already worked out. I was preaching a couple of weeks ago in the Franklin pre-release to about 200 or 300 women. On the other week, I had the opportunity to preach in the prison, and it was amazing to me because those who I preached to in the prison, they were unlike many of us who come to church. These were women who were in prison garbs. Their hair was deranged. Some of them were missing teeth. Some of them looked like life had just beat them to a pulp. But it was amazing to me that even with a broken and contrite spirit, that these women who life had seemingly dealt a bad hand, they were behind prison walls. They had no freedom without a 2,500 yard radius either way. They couldn't go nowhere but where they were told to go. But they stood in prison garbs and worshiped like they were in a cathedral, in the cafeteria, because when you're a real worshiper, it don't matter where you're at, you can worship God anyway. The Bible says they that worship him, God is a spirit, and they that worship God must worship him in spirit and in truth. These women stood there and worshiped God with uplifted hands. Some of them looking at 5 and 10 years. Some of them were in there for all kind of heinous crimes, but they lifted up holy hands and they worshiped the Lord our God. And the thing that troubles me the most is here they were in bondage worshiping God, and many of us got our freedom, and you have to almost beg us to worship God. Now, don't let me disturb you with that, because it's not about your outward expressions that I'm concerned about, because everybody worships different. Some people just might wave a hand. Some people might shed a tear. Some people just may want to sit quietly and just rock and enjoy the presence of the Lord. But my point is for saying that is this, is that in many cases, sometimes God has to break us in order to bless us, because as long as we're not broken, we feel that all of our accomplishments is something we did. Because when we get a little something, we look at my house and my car and my money. These are my clothes. And that's a very proud spirit to have. And God does not like pride. God hates pride. He detests pride. The Bible says that pride cometh before a fall, and a haughty spirit before destruction, because God does not want you so lifted up in you until you forget about the one that woke you up this morning. You forget about the one that started you on your way. You forget about that you wouldn't be nothing, have nothing, couldn't do nothing if it had not been for the Lord on your side. I'm on my way down your street. And so the Bible says that we talk about this young man Joseph, and in many cases we see many of the lives of the Bible characters we read about paralleling our own experiences. We see parallels in their lives as a mirror of our lives, because sometimes God is trying to show you through many of the Bible characters that you read about that they were not patriarchs of the past that had some kind of supernatural energy and spirits that were much above or more excellent than your spirit and my spirit, but they were regular men and women just like you and I, who went through the vicissitudes of life but refused to be broken. They refused to let life overcome them. They took storm after storm and lick after lick. And I'm talking to somebody in this room. You've been through storm after storm. You've taken abuse after abuse. You've had low self-esteem. You've been through heinous things happen to you. You've been drugged through the mud, and folk thought when you finally got a little energy and could smile, when you finally got enough nerve to get your head up and stop holding your head down, folk, they confuse your confidence for arrogance. Because sometimes when people are miserable, they want you miserable also. Sometimes when people are miserable, they don't want to see you have a moment of joy. That's why it's not always safe to share your dreams with everybody, because everybody's not ready for God to elevate you. Because have you ever noticed that whenever you start talking about the dreams God gave you, those negative folk come in and say, well, it don't take all of that. Why you need that kind of house? And why you got to have a new car? A used car work just as good. And why you got to have a new dress? What's wrong with the old dress? Just put it in the cleaners. Because every time you get some elevators, it's going to come with his own set of professional haters. I see y'all want to make me work, so let me go ahead and preach it like I feel it. The Bible says that Joseph was not a bad young man. He was a goodly young man, but Joseph's problem was Joseph had error judgment. His judgment was not good. And if you would be honest with yourself, many of the mistakes that we've made in life at any age and stage, it wasn't because you were a bad person. It wasn't because you set out to do evil or do wrong. In many cases, you got sucked into things under pressure of bad judgment. It wasn't that you just chose the roughest roughneck in the crew to date. It was just you had low self-esteem, and so he was the only one that said, hey, little mama, how you doing? Let me get your number. And at that point in your life, anybody was better than nobody. So you end up getting with Slick Willie and Wick. Y'all ain't saying nothing. It wasn't that he was bad or you were bad. Your judgment just was off. When your judgment is bad, you don't always make God-led decisions. When your judgment is bad, you mistake good for evil and evil for good. When your judgment's bad, when you're influenced by other people, that's why you have to be careful who you let speak into your life. Sometimes you surround yourself with people that tell you what you want to hear. Every now and then you need people around you who are going to be honest with you, who are just going to be upfront and tell you, listen, you wrong, you out of order. No, you shouldn't have done that. You don't need everybody around you being a yes man and a yes woman and going to stroke your ego and tell you how good you are and how talented you are and how well you sing and how good you look. Sometimes you need some folk to tell you your breath stink. Sometimes you just need some folks to say, baby, listen, just take this, here goes some gum, let me brighten up your day. Because every now and then, if you're not careful, you'll be around people that stroke your ego and they poison you into believing that you're much greater than what you are, and you can't see yourself because you're so full of yourself. And when you're full of yourself, if you're not careful, you'll end up by yourself. And so Joseph, can I talk for a few minutes? Joseph was a good man. He just had error judgment. Donnell, can you think of the things at our age in our life? I'm almost 40, you're almost 50. Can you think of all the stuff we've done that we would have done differently had our judgment just been in tune? Had my judgment just been better, I would have not taken that step. Had my judgment been better, I would have not did this, I would have did that. Had my judgment were better, I would have hung around these people as opposed to hanging around those people. Sometimes your error judgment will get you in stuff you wish you never had been in.